Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to dive into something that can feel like a jungle sometimes, budgeting. But don't worry, we've got a trusty guide to help us navigate.
Absolutely, and it's surprising where we found this guide. The savannah. Specifically, in a children's story about a lioness named Zuri who learns some valuable budgeting lessons.
Now I know what you might be thinking, a children's story. But trust me on this one. This tale, while fictional, is packed with surprisingly practical insights that can be applied to real-life finances.
What's fascinating is how this story uses simple metaphors to illustrate complex financial concepts. We're going to unpack those metaphors and see how they translate into actionable advice for you.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in the Savannah Kingdom, where Zuri lives with her diverse group of friends. Zuri loves mangoes. They're her go-to treat. But there's a problem. She keeps running out. She eats them all right away and has none left to share or save.
It's a relatable dilemma. We've all experienced that feeling of scarcity, whether it's with mangoes or money.
Exactly. And Zuri, being a smart lioness, realizes this isn't sustainable. So she turns to Tumbo, the wise old elephant, for advice. And Tumbo introduces her to this brilliant concept, the budget.
Now, what's interesting here is how Tumbo frames it, not as restriction or deprivation, but as a plan for using resources wisely.
I think that's a key mindset shift right there. It's not about limiting ourselves. It's about making conscious choices so we can achieve our goals.
Precisely. And to make it even more accessible, Tumbo introduces Zuri to a simple three-basket system for managing her mangoes.
The famous 3 baskets. This is where the story gets really interesting. Each basket represents a different aspect of financial management.
The first basket is for needs. This is where Zuri puts the mangoes she absolutely needs to survive, just like our essential living expenses.
So for us, that would be things like rent or mortgage payments, groceries, utilities, transportation, the must-haves.
Exactly. These are the foundational expenses that form the bedrock of our budget.
The second basket is for savings. Tumbo explains that this is for preparing for unexpected events, like a sudden storm wiping out the mango trees.
This is where Bora, the tortoise, comes in. He is all about slow and steady saving, always prepared for a rainy day.
I love Bora. He's like the poster child for emergency funds.
Yeah.
He understands the importance of having a financial cushion to fall back on when life throws those inevitable curveballs.
And that's a crucial lesson for all of us. Having an emergency fund can provide a sense of security and peace of mind, knowing you're prepared for unexpected expenses like car repairs, medical bills, or even job loss.
It's like having a safety net, so we don't fall flat on our faces when those unexpected events happen.
Exactly. And then we have the third basket, the growth basket. This is where Zuri learns about investing for the future.
Now, this is where things get exciting. We're not just talking about surviving anymore. We're talking about thriving.
In Zuri's case, investing means planting mango seeds to grow more trees. But for us, it can take many forms. Investing in our skills, education, starting a business, or even traditional investments like stocks and bonds.
So we've got our 3 baskets, needs, savings, and growth. And as Zuri interacts with her friends, she sees how they embody these different principles.
There's Keto the monkey, who's all about instant gratification. He spends all his mangoes on fun things, ending up in debt and constantly having to borrow.
Keto's story is a cautionary tale, isn't it? It shows us the dangers of impulsive spending and the importance of planning for the future.
Absolutely. And then there's Boya, the tortoise, who demonstrates the benefits of patience and consistent saving. He's always prepared for whatever comes his way.
And then we have Pesa, the meerkat, the savvy entrepreneur of the group. He understands the power of long-term thinking and investing for future wealth.
Each of these characters represents a different approach to finances, and Zuri learns from their successes and their mistakes.
What I find really interesting is that Zuri's journey doesn't just transform her own life. It sparks a ripple effect throughout the entire Savannah Kingdom.
The power of a good role model. Zuri's success inspires her friends to adopt better financial habits themselves.
It's like this contagious wave of financial literacy sweeping across the Savannah. It's amazing how a simple story like Zuri's can illustrate such powerful financial concepts. But let's move beyond the Savannah and see how these 3 baskets, needs, savings, and growth, apply to our everyday lives.
Absolutely. Let's break down each basket in more detail. We've talked about needs being those essential expenses, the things we absolutely can't live without.
Right, like housing, food, utilities, the stuff that keeps a roof over our heads and food on the table.
But there's another layer to this basket, distinguishing between needs and wants. Zuri needs mangoes to survive, but she might want a fancy basket to carry them in. We need transportation. But we might want a luxury car
So how do we navigate that gray area? Yeah, sometimes it's tough to tell the difference between a true need and a want that's disguised as a need.
It's a great question, and it requires some honest self-reflection. A helpful question to ask yourself is, can I truly live without this? If the answer is no, it's likely a need. If it's yes, it's probably a want.
That's a great tip, and I think it's important to acknowledge that. Needs can vary depending on individual circumstances and life stages.
Absolutely. What's considered a need for one person might be a want for another. The key is to be mindful and prioritize those true essentials when building your budget.
Which brings us to the savings basket. Bora, the tortoise's area of expertise, he teaches Zuri about being prepared for those unexpected twists and turns that life throws our way.
And that's where the emergency fund comes in. It's that financial cushion that can help us navigate unexpected expenses without derailing our entire financial plan.
Some might argue that keeping a large sum of money in an emergency fund means missing out on potential investment growth. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a valid point, but remember, the primary purpose of an emergency fund is to provide stability and peace of mind, not to generate high returns. It's about protecting ourselves from financial shocks.
So it's about finding that balance between security and growth.
Hmm.
But how much should we actually aim to save in our emergency fund? Is there a magic number?
There's no one-size-fits-all answer. A common recommendation is to have 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses set aside. But this can vary depending on your individual circumstances, job security, and risk tolerance.
That makes sense. Someone with a stable job and few dependents might feel comfortable with a smaller emergency fund, while someone with a variable income or more financial responsibilities might aim for a larger cushion.
Exactly. The key is to assess your own situation and determine what level of security feels right for you. And remember, building an emergency fund takes time. It's about consistency, just like Bora the tortoise, slowly but surely building his stash of mangoes.
So even small, regular contributions can add up over time.
Absolutely. And this is where we can introduce the concept of compound interest. It's like a snowball effect. You earn interest on your initial savings and on the accumulated interest, leading to exponential growth over time.
Okay, let's break that down a bit further for our listeners. How does compound interest actually work in practice?
Imagine you invest $100 and earn a 5% annual return after the first year. You'll have $105. But in the second year, you're not just earning interest on that initial $100, you're also earning interest on that extra $5 you earned in interest. So your money is essentially growing on top of itself.
So the earlier we start saving and investing, the more time our money has to compound and grow.
Precisely. Time is a powerful ally when it comes to compound interest. Even small amounts saved consistently over a long period can lead to significant growth.
That's encouraging. It means we don't have to be financial superheroes to benefit from the power of compound.
Exactly. It's about developing those consistent saving habits, just like Bora the tortoise. Now, let's move on to our third basket, the growth basket, where we explore the world of investing and building long-term wealth.
Now, when we talk about investing, it can sound intimidating. People often think of Wall Street and complex financial instruments, but it doesn't have to be that complicated, does it?
Not at all. Investing, in its simplest form, is about putting your money to work for you, to generate more money. And it can take many forms.
So beyond traditional investments like stocks and bonds, what are some other ways we can invest in our future growth?
It could be investing in your education or skills to increase your earning potential. It could be starting a side hustle or launching a business. It could even be investing in your health and well-being, which can have long-term financial benefits.
I love that perspective. It's about expanding our definition of investment beyond just financial instruments.
Exactly. It's about identifying areas where we can allocate resources, time, money, energy. That can lead to future growth and abundance, just like Zuri planting those mango seeds.
Now, I know we've talked about the importance of diversification in investing. Can you explain what that means and why it's so crucial?
Diversification is like not putting all your eggs in one basket. It's about spreading your investments across different asset classes, industries, and geographic regions to reduce risk.
So if one investment performs poorly, it doesn't wipe out your entire portfolio.
Exactly. Diversification helps to cushion the blow of market fluctuations and protects your overall wealth.
It's like building a strong and resilient financial foundation, just like those diverse mango trees in Zuri Savannah.
That's a great analogy. And remember, investing is a long-term game. It's not about getting rich quick schemes or chasing the latest trends. It's about making informed decisions, managing risk, and staying focused on your goals.
Just like Pace of the Meerkat, Who understands the power of patience and long-term thinking when it comes to building wealth? Okay, so we've got our three baskets: needs, savings, and growth. But how do we actually put this system into practice in our own lives?
That's where the rubber meets the road. The first step is to create a budget, a plan for how you're going to allocate your income among these three baskets.
And that doesn't have to be a complicated spreadsheet or a restrictive plan that sucks all the joy out of life, right?
Absolutely not. There are many different budgeting methods, from the 50-30-20 rule to envelope systems to budgeting apps. The key is to find an approach that works for you and your lifestyle.
And it's about being flexible and adjusting as needed, right? Life throws curveballs, and our financial needs and goals can change over time.
Precisely. A budget is a living document, not a set-in-stone rulebook. The important thing is to have a plan and be mindful of how you're using your resources.
So we've got this framework of needs, savings, and growth, and we've explored how to approach each of those areas intentionally. But I think what really resonates with me about Zuri's story is how her transformation sparked a ripple effect throughout her community.
It's a powerful illustration of how financial literacy can be contagious. When one person starts making positive changes, it can inspire those around them to do the same.
It reminds me of that saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. When we empower ourselves financially, it can have a positive impact on our families, our friends, and even our communities.
Absolutely. And it starts with education and open conversations about money. The more we talk about these topics, the less taboo they become, and the more comfortable people feel, seeking help and making informed decisions.
It's like breaking down those financial barriers and creating a culture of support and empowerment.
Precisely. And it can start with small steps, sharing what we've learned, recommending resources, or even just being open about our own financial journeys can make a difference.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Zuri's Savannah budgeting wisdom, I want to leave our listeners with this question. What's one small step you can take today to implement one of these principles in your own life?
It could be as simple as setting aside a small amount for your emergency fund, identifying one unnecessary expense to cut back on, or even just downloading a budgeting app and taking a look at your spending patterns.
Or maybe it's finally having that conversation with your partner or family about your financial goals and creating a plan together.
The important thing is to start somewhere and to keep moving forward. Remember, financial well-being is a journey, not a destination. There will be bumps along the way. But the key is to keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for financial empowerment.
Just like Zuri planted those mango seeds for future abundance, we can all plant the seeds for our own financial success, one small step at a time.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.